Let's start off here with higher costs, because that's what I think most investors are focused on. You seem to be navigating that as a company relatively well by shifting some things around here. But when we start to see the persistence of this quarter after quarter of higher food costs, higher packaging costs as well, do you worry at all that you might sort of reach, I guess, a point where it becomes a little untenable?
Well, yeah, obviously, I'd love to see the inflation ease. And we've done everything we can to figure out how we can find efficiencies in the business so that we don't have to pass on pricing. But, up until now, unfortunately, the inflation has been persistent. And, it's obviously a concern that if it doesn't subside or plateau here at some point, you do run into, some challenges with your customers.
You talked about raising some menu prices, I believe, in the past seasons or so. How are you thinking about further menu price increases here if inflation and some of your raw material costs indeed continue to be persistent?
Yeah, look, I think we've mentioned this many times when we've talked about this, is our preference would be not to have to take price, and hopefully what we can do is find efficiencies elsewhere in the business and work with, our partners to figure out, are there better ways to secure the supply and give our customers the culinary and the experience that they want. So as of right now, we don't have any plans for additional pricing, and hopefully that will be the case going forward. But, only time will tell, and we'll see what happens in the inflationary environment we're dealing with.
Yeah, I'm curious, what's that about? Is that to retain customers here, or is there a sense, Brian, that there's a breaking point at which customers will start to turn away if prices are raised?
I can speak to our company. We're very fortunate that we've got a very strong brand with a lot of, I think, value embedded in it, meaning people feel really good about the customization, the quality of the culinary, the speed at which they get it.
Yeah.
That gives us some pricing power. But, look, everybody's got a limit. And, I really hope what we don't have to do is keep pushing towards where you push up against that limit.
All right. What are you seeing right now in terms of customer traffic and sort of the levels that it's at, Brian? I mean, Chipotle has always kind of, I guess, been in a little bit of a sweet spot when it comes to both pricing and availability relative to some of the other quick service restaurants. Has that trend, meaning the actual volume of people coming through the door, has that been going up or down?
For us, it's continued to go up. We just, in our most recent quarter, we talked about this. We still had 5% transaction growth. So we're in a really strong position. I think that just demonstrates, to your point, people, love the experience at Chipotle. So even though we've had to take some pricing, we've been able to maintain our sales and maintain traffic growth.
How are you thinking about some of these plant-based items? If a lot of the raw material and the input costs are due to beef prices, is switching maybe on a more permanent basis to plant-based items a way to combat that?
No, look, what we see with customers is they like to have the choice. Obviously, there are some people that, are all plant-based, but what we see primarily is people like to have the choice, to move between chicken, steak, and ultimately a plant-based solution. We've had plant-based chorizo. We have on our menu all the time our sofritas. And so we're going to continue to explore what are other plant-based proteins, but we want it to be consistent with our food with integrity principles, just like we hold, our chicken, our steak, and all the other ingredients that are on our menu.
Yeah, I mean, with the Beyond Meat information that's coming out today as well, I'm wondering how much of a pivot you're willing to make here and what you're hearing from your clients in terms of how much more their preferences are changing in terms of meat.
Yeah, look, the number one protein on our menu is chicken by far, and we have not seen that really change. When we do these plant-based initiatives, we definitely see people switch between their, most common entree that they do. But, we still see people wanting to have the option to move between plant-based and, the chicken that they love or the steak that they love.
How much need do you see to keep updating the menu, to offer new things, or do you have a customer base that I guess just wants what they are used to here?
Yeah, I think we've gotten into a really good spot on this. We do about, 2 to 3 menu initiatives a year. It gives the consumer enough, I think, excitement and variety so that if they want to deviate from what they typically order, they have the ability to, try out a carne asada, or in this case right now we're doing pollo asado. So we typically target 2 to 3 items a year. I like to think of it as like, we're a seasonal special that we're kind of rotating through, but we're never going to replace the food that you love.
What about dessert, Brian? Any options there?
We're still working on that. I would love for us to find a dessert that would, complement people's burritos and bowls, no doubt about it. And it would be great to have an add-on like that,
Yeah. Are you happy with your store count?
Well, look, I mean, we're happy with the fact that we just achieved our 3,000th restaurant just a couple of months ago. I've talked about this in the past. We believe just in U.S. and Canada, we can have close to 7,000 restaurants. So we're very optimistic about our future and how we build from 3,000. But, it was a big milestone for us to get past 3,000.
And you still think there's a need, though, to get up to 7,000, to increase by that much, given, I guess, how some trends have changed given the pandemic?
Yeah, look, the number one barrier we hear from customers is put a Chipotle near me. And when we look at all the trade areas across the country, we've got a lot of confidence that 7,000 is definitely a number that makes a lot of sense for our economic model. And frankly, I think as we get closer to 7,000, we'll experiment to see if we can maybe even go beyond that.